Hi everyone, this is Coach Luke. I just want to say go Panthers. I wanted to tell everyone a story about what's been happening in my life. There's this quote that I really like by John Lennox, and it goes like this: "The thing that we should fear is not failure, but rather succeeding in something that ultimately doesn't matter." I grew up in Southern California in an immigrant household. Life was pretty tough. We were new to this country and we were trying to survive. I can't remember growing up a single time that even the words "I love you" were ever said in my family. That kind of stuff we just didn't have time for. We were working really hard and we relied on wisdom from our elders and our ancestors. That was just kind of how we operated. And there's this one quote I remember that my grandparents gave me. It says, 少年不努力，老大徒伤悲. It means essentially work really hard when you're young, or else you'll have regrets when you get old. That was kind of my background. The other thing was I became a Christian in high school through a retreat, but for the longest time, my faith was more like insurance. I would avoid doing wrong things and I would try to do righteous or right things. In exchange, God would bless me. More or less, somehow I would barely sneak into heaven while more or less still enjoying things on earth. And with that as my foundation, I worked really hard. I got into school at UC Berkeley. I also graduated from UC San Francisco. I was able to obtain a nice healthcare career and started a family and a home. Beyond all that stuff that was happening on the outside, all this trauma and suffering was happening all around me. My grandparents, they passed away quite tragically from medical mistakes. And then my mom, she was the hardest working person I knew. At age 60, she learned that she had pancreatic cancer and passed away 6 months later. My wife, Amy's brother, passed away suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition. I had a great friend in college that actually took his own life. My dad, during this time, he had a heart attack. I also lost my job. You know, it was just kind of stacking all these tragedies, like one on top of each other. And I was doing my best to try to hold things together and stay strong and stay diligent. But I knew inside I was falling apart. It all kind of came to a head this one night. I was driving on the freeway home and I got in this shouting match with God. It was the first time I was just expressing to Him all the frustrations and emotions I had and the anger. It was kind of a really weird, emotionally charged night. And then the very next day, Amy felt this thing in her eye, and that ultimately led to this rare disease that caused her to lose her vision. It ended up in 2 years of intense pain for Amy as she was also working full-time to help support the family. It came to this point where I was talking to a friend and kind of complaining about all the things that were going wrong. And he pointed me to the fact that God is not like a transactional God where it's like you're doing good things and you're being diligent and He rewards you with stuff. It's not about that at all. Ultimately, God was very different in what He did versus what I had learned growing up. He wasn't just spewing out wisdom or advice. God actually personally committed Himself to us through Jesus by showing His sacrificial love and giving it all in order to give us everything. I was here enjoying or wanting the stuff. What I realized was when He gave it all for me, it wasn't the stuff I wanted, it was Him. And so that has changed everything for me. These days, I'm just spending more time at home with my family, my kids, and also spending a lot more time with God. What I've realized is even suffering can be a good thing if it draws you closer to God. Ultimately, I hope this story is encouraging or it helps someone maybe in the audience who's going through similar trials. And maybe for the kids, In basketball, we work really hard to excel, to win, to grow, and to strive. And my prayer, my hope for you is that we continue to work hard and we do all these things, but that's not it. That's not the only thing. I pray that you also have the opportunity to love someone and get to meet and get to know the ultimate person in Jesus who loved you first.